Hi, and welcome to another video by Jim the Car Guy. Today we have a 2005, it's a Ford Explorer, and we're going to be changing the rear parking brake shoes. The parking brake shoes on this one here, if you're looking at this video, you're realizing that it's actually a pretty tight to get in there. It's a little bit tricky to get these shoes off, not to mention back on. But I'm going to bring you in, I'll show you how to do it, and then we're going to get this job done. Now, this is what's left of the parking brake shoes themselves. These actually get bonded onto here like that, but as you can see, they came apart. They were bouncing around inside the rotor, but the drum portion of the rotor. All right. Okay. Now, as you can see, or maybe you can't see, I'm not really sure, but you see right inside here. I'm going to try to show you. Down inside there, you see that spring right there? That's the spring that we're going to take off first, so we can pull the shoes apart so we can get in there. So that's the one we're going to take. This, we are going to change the hardware kit so we don't have to worry about saving it. Breaking it off is fairly easy to get it apart. Putting it back together is a little bit more tricky. But we're going to get in here with a pair of needle nose pliers, and we're going to pull that spring up and off, and then that will allow us a little more room so we can get in. Let me show you here. So we can get in right here and get this piece off right down inside here. You see that little clip there? We need to push this down so we can slide that pin out through that bigger hole up on the top right there. So, all right, that's what I'm going to do, and I hope you can follow along. Now, the star on the bottom down here is going to fall out. That's going to fall out of there, but we're going to put that back in, and we are going to change that other spring that you see in there as well. So, all right, let me get started, and we'll see how it goes. Okay. First thing we're going to do is we're going to get in here, and we're going to get that spring, and we're going to pry that spring off. We're just going to get in here now. I'm going to pull the spring away from the old brake shoe. And you see how I got that? You see how I got that screwdriver back behind it? We're going to push the spring forward, and it pops right out. That looked easy, but I rest assured that's going to be a pain in the rear end for you to get that off of there. All right, so now we have that spring pulled out. Now we're going to take out, now you see how when that spring is removed, you see the additional room that you have, able to get in here? We're going to get in here with a needle nose pliers right now. And we're going to take the spring out so we have a little more room to work. Okay, we'll just take the spring out like this. This spring we're not going to reuse, but basically what I did is I got in here with a screwdriver like that, and I pushed this spring out and popped it out of that spot right there. So, all right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to push down on this piece right here. We're going to push it in like this, and you see that little, I'm going to try to do this so you can see. You see that little piece right there? We're going to push that up like that into that opening. We'll release this spring, and then we're going to take out the clip like this. Now this shoe will come out because the spring is still attached to it. You see what I'm doing right here? And now we're going to take that spring off like this. And this spring comes out. We are going to change this spring as well. And you remember when this came out, this threaded part was facing towards the back. That's the way we're going to put it back on, just so you know. All right, next thing we're going to do now is we're going to take that spring out right there up in the front. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here. Let's see if you can. We're going to push in on this piece right here, and then we're going to do the same thing. We'll just push that over like that. Like this. We're going to take this out, and then we're going to take out the other shoe just like that. Now that looked easy, right? It's not. It's going to be a pain in the rear end for you. I know you're going to pull your hair out doing it, but don't get too frustrated. and stay with it, and you should be okay. All right, so let me grab the new stuff now. We're going to just reverse the procedure. We're going to put this shoe in here first, and then we'll put this shoe in second, and we'll get our springs in down the bottom here. So, all right, let me grab my new stuff, and we'll put it back together. Now we're going to take these springs out right here because we're going to reuse the new ones. Well, I mean, I should say we're going to use new ones. Now, taking out these little pins right here is not too bad. This pin right here, this pin comes in and out without a problem. That pin, though, it's actually pretty far recessed into a hole. Makes it difficult to get it in and out. All right, so we're going to take this pin now, push it through. You can't even get your fingers on the back of it. So what I do is I take a piece of wire like this and strip the wire down so you just take the insulation off, and you'll just have the core portion like this left. All right, then you just roll it like this. You take your pin, put it on your pin here. Now if by chance that pin fell out and it already fell inside, don't worry about it. You can just fish the wire back through here, but that's how you would get it out, just like that. And pull it out like this. Now you still have your wire through here. We'll take that pin out. We're going to take our new pin that we're going to put back in, take the wire and put the wire on it, and just wrap it around it, just like that. And then we can pull this back through the hole, nice and easy. Like that. And then we can take our wire back off. Now this one up over here, that one you can get in pretty easily. It just slides right in through the back. It's a little bit, like about a ½ inch in, but you can get that one through okay. All right, now we're going to put this shoe back on over here first. We're going to take a little bit of the silicone, and we're going to touch every place that the brake shoe touches. We're going to put a little bit of silicone. It'll keep it from making any kind of squeaking noises, and it'll make it slide a little bit easier. All right. Now, the brake shoe goes on one direction only. You can see the difference here and here. This is where your star adjuster is, so it goes on like this. All right, we're going to put this over that pin right there, and I'm going to try to do this so you can see what I'm doing, but it's going to be... You will not be able to get your finger in through the back over here to hold this pin from moving around. Well, let me rephrase that. Unless you have a finger that's about that long, you won't be able to. All right, so we're going to put this back in, and we're going to be careful not to knock that pin through like that. We'll put it in place like this. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here. Let's try. All right, and we're going to hold that pin like that. I'm going to get in through the back over here with a pair of needle nose pliers. And it is a little bit difficult to work in here. It really, it's a little bit tight. And we're going to take our lock clip, and you know what? Let me just show you this. Okay, what we're basically going to do is we're going to take this pin in there, we're going to put this over the top like that, and you see how this piece rotates around? We have to make sure it locks in 90 degrees away from the opening right here. I hope you can see that okay. You see this? It's got to be 90 degrees away from the opening, just the way it is right there. All right, so that's what I'm going to do in here, and we're going to continue with that. try to get my hand in the back, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I am going to get in here with a pair of needle nose pliers on that pin. Hold it like that. We're going to put this on here, and then we're going to line that pin up like that. You can see it's caught just a little bit. It's really not far enough caught, so we're going to actually get in here. We're going to put our pliers on it, and we're going to rotate it and push in on this until it locks in there. Okay, just a little bit more. And you'll see now. Okay, you see how this is turned? You see how this pin, I'm going to bring you in now, I'm going to show you. You see how that pin right there? You see how it's turned? See how it's 90 degrees of the opening? That'll secure it in place and it won't go anyplace. All right, now we have it up in the top right up here where it belongs. And now we're going to put our second shoe on this side over here. And now we're going to take our second brake shoe, make sure we put it on the correct way. The star adjuster goes right into here. Remember, that's where our adjuster goes, just like that. We're going to take this shoe, and before we do anything with the springs in here, we're going to put the shoes on first. This one you can probably get your finger in the back to hold the pin. Now we're going to put this. I know this is a very awkward job, but if you get pissed off, walk away for a little bit and then come back to it, because it's very frustrating. All right, you get that lined up just like that. And now what I'll do is with a screwdriver, I'm just going to get in here and I'm going to push this in like that, and then we'll rotate it. Okay. Just like that. Okay, and now we're going to put our shoe back in where it belongs. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our spring here. We're going to take this spring now, and we're going to hook the spring back in where it previously came out. Like that. Now we didn't put our star in for a good reason. I'm going to show you why. Now remember, this part of the star was facing to the back, so we're going to put it in here. You're going to slide this groove here into the front shoe. Like that. And now we're going to pull the shoes back. And we'll slide our star back up where it belongs like that. You see how it just clicked up in there? It's a little tight because this spring, that white spring that you just put in, the star actually touches into the white spring, so it's a little bit tight. So let me just take a peek in here and make sure it's right. Okay. All right, so now we have this is finished here. We have our 2 pins here tight. Now comes the fun part. You got to try to get this spring back in there. It's very tight to get in here. What I normally do is I'll take the spring, now the spring did not pop in all the way. I'm going to show you what I mean. You see how that spring is hooked on there, but it's not popped in all the way? I'm just going to put a screwdriver right on the top, right there, and I'm going to tap it and pop it right in. So let's continue with that. Bring you in there now. I'll show you. It did pop in, of course. Okay. As you can see now, the spring did pop down to where it's supposed to be. So we have our spring in up. I'm going to point to it here for you. We have this spring back in here where it belongs, right there. We have our hold down right here, and it's turned to 90 degrees of the opening. See right here, it's 90 degrees. Our spring is up in here. Our star is in place. Our other lock pin is locked in where it belongs. And the top is in place where it belongs as well. All right, so that's all set now. Okay, doing those rear shoes, sometimes it is a little frustrating. Take your time. If you run into an issue, just step away from it for a little bit and come back to it. Try the trick with the piece of wire like that to pull the pin through, because you'll actually need to get your finger into a spot about that far to get it in straight. And it seems like every time you put it in, it'll drop down and fall down between the backing plate and the hub bearing assembly. Put a piece of wire on it, tie it off, slide it through, and you'll save yourself a little bit of a headache. And of course, after you put your shoes back onto the vehicle and you put your drum on, you will need to adjust them to a slight drag. As always, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.